NBA slate. For those there was a lot of talk in the DFS world about bigger tournaments on Tuesdays and why they keep doing the small ones because they used to have less games on Tuesdays. Well, they do have bigger tournaments today, but we have less games again. So, want to say that last night was pretty nuts. You had two of the craziest performances in recent history with Embiid and Towns. On top of it, Luka had an insane game. I actually did really well. I only played one big lineup. I played two lineups overall, and really, or actually three lineups overall. Really did well, but it didn't. It wasn't enough. It was like I think I ended up with like 340 and like 20 something or 30th in the 555. But it was a nice night. I felt good about it. Just hard to get the perfect combination, I guess. Sheets, talk a little about your night, and then we'll get into the slate.
Yeah, I had Embiid and Jaren Jackson, so that was good. But I didn't notice that Tillman wasn't starting, so I didn't update my projections. I didn't update my lineup, so I ended up with him, which was not gonna work. So that was pretty much all I had from last night. Tonight is a pretty weird slate because on the one hand they say that they're gonna not include these island games in these classic slates, but I guess with only 4 games, otherwise they didn't have the choice. So they added the game with all of the value, which is like 2 hours removed from the other games. So it makes for definitely an interesting situation. But it's not even that interesting because people are going to jam that game anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like, and people know already that LeBron's out, so people are going to start this slate with like four Lakers, and I guess if you could be around. Well, you're going to be around for it to swap around if things aren't going well in some of the earlier games. I guess that's what some people are going to do, and we'll get to that game when we get to it. But obviously, that's where the main value is going to come from.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's get into it. We'll go game by game here.
Sorry about that.
And one cool thing that you said though, that like it is interesting with the Lakers thing because you're going to have some players from that spot anyway, and you have in some cases some pretty natural pivots at what might be lower ownership. Like Jared Vanderbilt is not going to be nearly owned, but Rui Hachimura is. If you're struggling, maybe you switch over to Vanderbilt, even though it's not necessarily the ideal play. Just that it's a way of getting a little bit different. You're going to have some options like that late, I think. But in the Denver Indiana game, what are you looking at here?
Not much. I mean, I'm looking here at first of all, I did already a Saber sim run, and we'll get to that later. But listen, I'm getting Jokic actually, so Jokic looks like a good play. Jamal Murray looks like a good play as well. I would expect to do more on the Indiana side. I'm just not exactly seeing it, So right now, as far as my projections go, you probably want to try to play either Murray or Jokic if you can get them in, and you should be able to with all that Lakers stuff. And aside from that, not too much, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm having trouble because I initially thought, okay, well here's a perfect spot to try to attack, and then I couldn't really find what I love the best. I actually like Jamal Murray a lot. I think it's a really good matchup for him and his style. And we've seen some big performances out of him lately. 8,400 is totally reasonable. And I think he's interesting enough. I think that Jokic is a solid. I just don't have anything that's a massive priority. I think if I had to pick one player, I guess I'd pick Jokic on the Denver side. But I would like to do something on the Indiana side. I think that McConnell is the most natural thing. You just have to worry about the minutes. And I think that Mathurin is being a little bit underprojected. And I also don't mind Siakam. So I kind of like a lot of things. I'm mediocre on a lot of things here, but that's sort of the way I am with most of the slate outside the Laker game. So probably going to have to make some decisions between these guys. Right now I have it as, Siakam, as I mentioned, Mathurin, Hield, McConnell as my 4 potentials from Indy, and then Jokic or Murray from Denver. But yeah, it's nothing too crazy. Just can't really find it. I thought things would project a little better than they did today. I guess I'll put it that way.
Yeah, my top guys I'm getting to from the Indiana side are actually the non-Halliburton guys. It's Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. Like those would be the guys I'm getting the most of right now. And my current runs, I'm getting about 28% Turner, maybe 20, no, maybe not even, maybe just like 15% Heald. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and it's tough with that's part of the thing that makes it so tough about Indiana is even when they don't have Halliburton, they just really like everybody's playing like 25 minutes. Like,
Right.
It's
Right.
not like you're getting these huge minute games. Buddy Hield played, Buddy Hield looks like the better play between he and Matherin, but like Matherin like a few games ago was higher on the pecking order for them. It's just really hard to follow. All right, your Knicks are in Brooklyn tonight for a little I guess you call it a
little home game for everybody. And really not much of anything. I mean, just the only guys I'm getting to literally at all in my builds are the guys you probably would expect. So it'd be like Dinwiddie and Claxton for Brooklyn, and then Randall and Brunson for the Knicks, but none of them more than 10%. Actually, that's not true. I'm getting 20% of Claxton right now. So that's something to note. But overall, I mean, there's just better games.
Yeah, so I am very confused at the projections. I'm just going to go ahead and say that I don't see this being right. I love Precious today. I think that's a terrific play. One, he's a great fantasy point per minute producer already. Tibbs apparently loves him. They're going to start Jericho Sims, but Precious will come off the bench. Put up 33 in the last game. I don't really know why we're supposed to avoid him here, other than the fact that the projections really don't like him. But with no Hartenstein and no Robinson, it's hard for me just to like overlook that. I also think that it gives Randall and Brunson a bigger ceiling. So Randall especially. So I actually think Randall's a strong play as well. And he's always had good games against this Brooklyn teams for whatever reason going back. So those are my two favorites. But I don't mind if you want to get involved with some Josh Hart or Brunson. I actually like this New York side a little bit better maybe than you do. Dinwiddie is 5,600. That's really cheap for him. And Cam Thomas is 58. I feel like you could take shots on these guys. I don't feel like I'm like in love with it, but it's definitely something I'm considering doing. I guess if I had to pick one, I guess Dinwiddie is like the more you feel a little bit safer with, but Cam Thomas definitely has the upside. So I like getting to some of Dinwiddie and Thomas, especially Dinwiddie.
I have a dumb question. So again, why is Precious projected so low? You know what I mean? Like, I just went and I looked, and whenever I just kind of miss something like that, I went and see sometimes like I have like one model that like rates him like a 0 and it's skewing it, but literally nobody has him projected well.
Right.
I mean, it's one place has like a 12, and that's like the most. You know, I see like an 8, a 10.
Sableton has him at 19 now.
Oh, maybe that's changed then. Okay.
Yeah, I think that they still had like it's like they didn't have Hartenstein out like a little.
Oh, maybe that's it. Well,
maybe
that's the case.
And that maybe they'll go up a little bit. But yeah, he's being projected. I'm just looking at his minutes projection, what they've got him at to put him at that number. So he got about 20 minutes. I think that's
there it is. Yeah, Hartenstein. Yeah, I had Hartenstein in. Okay, so that's why this is all happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, like, never mind. I bet you now he's probably going to be chalk.
He'll probably have some ownership, but I still don't think he's going to be overly like too crazy popular. All right, let's move over to Portland and OKC.
Yeah. So again, the Precious thing kind of changes a lot of stuff that I was going to say, but my previous builds, I was getting some of this game. I was getting like a whole bunch of Shea. No, actually not as much Shea. I was getting more of what's his name of Jalen Williams actually than anybody. So I was getting that, but I was getting Shea and Chet. So all three of those guys. Now again, I imagine there's got to be some serious blowout risk involved here. So you have to proceed with caution. But I mean, all those guys look pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't ranked Chet, Jalen Williams, Shea, but it really is like just splitting hairs. Like Jalen Williams is just as fine. Obviously there is some serious blowout risk. I don't usually love to play Shea in those games as much, but it's only a 5-game slate. We don't have a whole lot of things to choose from, so I don't mind that. Like, but I think they're all very, very close, and I think Chet and Williams are more likely to make my lineups than Shea is by the end of the day. Partly because one guy is going to be basically automatically plugged in for my lineups coming up in a little bit. And on on the Portland side, I'm not especially interested. I just would throw out that I do think that Jabari Walker has room to play him at 5,500, and I think that you can always take a shot at Anthony Simons just having that crazy shooting game, and 7,300 is totally reasonable. So those were the only things I thought. Thanks, appreciate that, Dwayne, for the nice comment for the nice comment there. All right, Utah, New Orleans.
Yeah, in Utah, New Orleans, I was getting quite a bit of this one before, at least. Zion Williamson at 7,400, I was kind of getting a ton, as was Colin Sexton at 6,200.
Mm-hmm.
Those would be, I guess, my two favorites. Yeah, CJ McCollum looks cheap enough, though, at 7K. And then Markin at 8,100. I think all these mid-range guys look pretty reasonable. What about the aside from that, I didn't quite get to him, but I was overhearing other people talk about him, so I have to look at him. This Fontecchio is only 3,600. So I guess I was going to ask you about that. And you can always think about Jordan Clarkson, but the top guys I have are the mid-range guys. So it was Zion, Sexton, McCollum, and Lowry.
Yeah, it's always tough with the Jazz to try to get a great feel for the minutes. One thing that you can, notice that from a little bit what they had lately. Now they had one game against Houston where they obviously Houston with a team that plays big. Kessler played 32 minutes in the last game. He's 5K today. If you told me he's going to play 26 minutes, I think I probably would be in at 5K. And I think Walker Kessler is really interesting today. So very low, like a low-owned tournament play that I think is, he's predicted at 25 minutes. That's good enough. And I think there's upside on those minutes, especially against another team that plays really big. So I like the Kessler idea as as a mid-range play. Sexton and Markkanen are my favorite guys to actually run the offense through. I have no issue with if on the flip side of the Kessler coin is the John Collins play at 4,700. It's look, all of these guys. It's sort of a similar thing a little bit to a little bit of Indiana. We don't really know exactly what's going to happen with the minutes once the game starts. I do think Fontecchio is too cheap, but again, it's just against the Lakers stuff. I prefer the Lakers guys because we don't have LeBron. But Fontecchio is definitely his minutes. He's played over 20 minutes in like 11 more than that, like 14 straight games. 3,600 is completely reasonable. So I guess in terms of priority, it's I like Kessler, just as a low owned play, but I do like Markkanen, Sexton, and Fontecchio as the other guys I'd like from Utah. And then on New Orleans, Zion is probably my favorite. It's pretty close between all three of those guys, to be honest. I think that Ingram has the highest ceiling. Well, I guess Zion and Ingram, but I guess you could say for any of them. But I think that it's pretty close between Zion, Ingram, and McCollum. Maybe Ingram has the highest ceiling of that group is all I would say. And it's a good matchup for pace and everything like that. So getting some extra exposure here may not be a bad idea. And I'll go through my plays at the end of the day.
So let's start with this Laker game. And don't give the answer till I ask you, because you asked me. You said that there's going to be somebody from this game that you're going to have in all of your lineups, and I'm trying to think of which of the four guys that I'm thinking of.
I was talking about Anthony Davis. I was talking about spend ups.
I just said to wait until I've finished.
Well, I said because I said specifically as the guy we're going to spend all the way up for. There's only one guy in this game.
So all right. So I like all the four main guys are all going to look. Four main guys, because the four main values are going to be Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, and obviously, as you mentioned, Anthony Davis. And then with Taurean Prince, like also in the mix. All five of those guys, are going to look really, really good. So now we get into the same lineup construction questions that people are going to flood the Discord with at 6 o'clock. Is that how many guys do you play, right? Like, can you play 5? Can you play 4? Whatever it is. I'm a short slate. I'm not going to be artificially limiting it. If I get 4 or 5, whatever, I'm just gonna kind of roll with it. It's just too short of a slate. That's my opinion. So yeah. I'm not going to artificially limit the amount of guys I get to. And then on the Clipper side for me, I'm sure I guess Westbrook would be my favorite. I was getting a bunch of them when I ran builds before. So how are you handling this Lakers stuff? Are any of those guys like bad chalk? You know what I mean? Or what would be the worst chalk of all of them? Or what would be you more inclined to pivot off of if it was, so inclined and all that?
The highest volatility is probably Christian Wood.
Christian Wood, I didn't consider him. Okay.
You mentioned him at the beginning.
I didn't actually.
Oh, he's got a big projection.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I guess it sort of depends on where you're looking. Saberson has him a little bit higher, but it's kind of hard to spec. It's just all over the place. All of this is assuming that Rui Hachimura starts. I think there's an excellent chance Rui Hachimura doesn't start, for what it's worth. I still think he's a good play at 3,700, but if you're going to ask me how they're going to try it, like who's actually going to guard Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, they don't have anybody outside of Austin Reeves that can, maybe Taurean Prince, that can even attempt it. Their best defender is Jared Vanderbilt. You'd think they'd start the game with Vanderbilt, in my opinion. That's what I would assume. So I'm giving a mental note to give Vanderbilt a little more run and maybe a little bit less for Hachimura Wood. I do think picking between one of those guys is a reasonable idea. I think you can play two of them, but they definitely could cut into each other a little bit. Davis is the one that I'm not fading probably almost anywhere tonight. I actually think his projection is too low. And then I'm also probably going to play Reeves and Russell in pretty much all my lineups. The problem with a play like Fontecchio before is like you get a huge like potential boost for Taurean Prince. Like it doesn't necessarily, but the thing is he doesn't need to do anything out there, but he's going to play a ton of minutes without LeBron at 3,800. So that's another one. So I've got it ranked. Well, I just have Davis, Russell, and Reeves right now. Every build I have will probably start with them. And then decide between one of Hachimura, Vanderbilt, Wood, probably mostly Hachimura. And on the Clippers side, I think that there's a lot of interesting ones here. My favorites are Kawhi and Westbrook.
Not Plumlee.
But then I do like Plumlee as well. I just think that there's definitely volatility for the Plumlee play. He played 15 minutes in the last game.
Especially when you mentioned like Christian Wood's a play, and also the other one, who's the other center? Precious is now a play also.
Yeah. So Plumlee or Tice probably get there, but you're trying to guess which one, and I guess Plumlee is going to be really popular. I'm okay with it. So I'm good with all of this. For what it's worth, the Clippers they beat this Laker team pretty regularly. I expect them to do the same tonight. If there's a way you wanted to fade that and just maybe play it on the Clippers sort of controlling the game, I still think you'd probably be getting to at least 3 Lakers. Just with the way it is. If there's other value that opens up later, we can address that then. But as of right now, I'm sort of on you have to play at least 3. I'm trying to keep it to less than 4. I do want to run it back with a combination of Westbrook, Kawhi, like you said, Plumlee. Probably if you're playing multiple lineups, you get to some Harden and some Paul George as well. But I like the idea with the Westbrook, and also it plays into a potential blowout narrative that if that worked, that he would probably be out there for that time. It is his former team. He's put up over 40 in 2 out of the last 3. I'm good with the idea of taking some Westbrook tonight. And I'm not expecting him to be that owned. So I was surprised. I'm happy that you were getting to him. I'm surprised that he's because I'm not showing any ownership on him really, but we'll see how it ends up.
Well, I just ran, just so you know, a new set of builds with the Hartenstein being out and the updated Christian Wood play, and I will tell you what I'm getting. It's still like mostly it's still all those Lakers, but Austin Reeves, Hachimura, Russell. I have all those guys more than Davis.
Yeah, they don't let the projections for whatever reason have Davis at, I don't know why, at 56. It's too low.
No, I have him the highest of the spend ups.
Right.
But they're just lineups that I don't have any spend ups, I don't think. I think that's the only thing.
It's just weird that his projection is just every game that's been some reasonably close, like not within 30 points, he's put up 59 or more fantasy points in
I'm projected for 55 without LeBron.
Right, and those are all with LeBron.
Right.
So why is he projected at 50? It just, to me, it's a misprojection. I think his median should be closer to 60 something here. And
I agree with that. Let me just see real quick what else. Russell, Hachimura, Reeves, Zion, Jalen Williams, Sexton still getting this Claxton, Miles Turner, Lowry, guys we mentioned. I just like to see if there's anybody that we missed, right, that just pops. And no, I think we covered pretty much everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think we did. Well, we'll be live at 6 Eastern tonight. That's just a small window.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a golf show coming up next. So
yep,
we got that going. All right. Well, good luck, everybody. We'll see you at 6.